I'm Val Johnson. Thank you so much for joining me for Interludes Extra. Check us out and enjoy. I'm Valarie Johnson.
And this is executive producer Michael Wamble of the wonderful podcast called Interludes with Valarie Johnson.
And we're doing an Interludes Extra because we're going to be talking about the Lifetime movie, original movie, based on a rap group that we were fans of when we were younger, Salt-N-Pepa.
Salt-N-Pepa's here. Salt-N-Pepa.
This is a genre. The director was Mario Van Peebles, and I think this is a genre that he's familiar with. The New Jack City director doing this film, and I have to say, of all of the biopics that have recently been done on Lifetime, I believe this one really shines. I really like this one.
I would agree. I think that it's really interesting. I mean, if you look at some of the more recent ones, you had on one end you have Salt-N-Pepa, and just like maybe a few months ago, or in the last couple of months, you had the Clark sisters.
Yeah.
You know, which is another one of those groups that I would consider to be Black famous.
Exactly.
Black people know who the Clark sisters are. Okay, they can tell you who the Clark sisters are. Clark sisters. You mean you are the sunshine, and then just go right into it. Now you step outside of that community, you may not know who the Clark sisters are. Now it's on Lifetime.
I know. And that's one I still have to see. I haven't seen that one yet. I have to see that one.
But Valarie, do you remember when Lifetime was like talk shows, and it was extremely white? Regis Philbin was on Lifetime. Dr. Ruth Westheimer. I know you know the little lady with the make you happy.
Anyway, we'll do this, and this is how you properly have.
This is a rabbit. Yes, Dr. Ruth. Yes,
Dr. Ruth.
That was Lifetime.
And then also, I remember Lifetime. There's a exercise guru, Denise Austin. They would show her in the morning.
Yes.
I love Denise Austin. I was like, I want to do yoga like Denise.
Denise still looks good. I fell into a rabbit hole maybe a couple of days ago. You know, the clickbait rabbit hole. What are they doing now? I saw her. I saw Body by Jake. What does he look like now? I saw them all. But yeah, Denise Austin, Lifetime.
And a lot of infomercials too.
Yes, a lot of infomercials, and for a time, Lifetime I think was a home to religious infomercials programming. So early in the morning it would flip from this kind of come to Jesus, literally come to Jesus, to Dr. Ruth. And it was a very schizophrenic type of station. But now it has gone, I think, all in on these sort of biopics that just, I don't think by coincidence, but just so happen to feature African-American women.
Yeah. So just to give you a little background, right now, it is a subsidiary of A&E Networks, which is jointly owned by Hearst Communications and the Walt Disney Company, which means the mouse is in there somewhere. And originally Lifetime was geared toward women. That's why Denise Austin, Dr. Ruth, and other talk shows were very popular when they first started.
A channel for women.
Channel for Women. I think they launched in 1984.
Yes. And this was around the time where there was an issue that's still ongoing in at least cable television. Now we would say, I guess, digital television, which was equity. Channels with equity. That there was not a channel really dedicated toward or focused on issues regarding women. And this
Exactly.
was something that was pushed in Congress.
Mhm,
Just a very little bit of the background there.
mhm,
So that's how it came about. I mean, this is the same idea that gives us, current channels like Revolt, which
mhm.
is owned by Puffy.
Right.
Gives us TV
Mhm,
One, the Karen Hughes, least
mhm,
based out of Radio One, and
mhm.
that's where it is today. But it was just the whole idea that if you're going to have these outlets, which were considered then airwaves, right, that you had to give some kind of have some segment so it was representative of the population. Now,
Right.
how we
Right.
went from Dr. Ruth to Salt and Pepper, I guess we could talk about sex. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how you make that jump, but Aaliyah.
Yeah, that was unfortunately, I feel like that was one of the worst ones that was produced because they did not have the rights to Aaliyah's music. And the young lady who was in there, Alexandra Ship, I think she did a decent job, but it just the material that she was given, and I don't know, it didn't work. It didn't work.
That was what you would call unauthorized. The thing that made this a pretty interesting biopic in terms of a
Salt and
musical
pepper.
group was that
Hmm.
this was, yeah, Salt and Pepper,
Hmm.
that this was authorized. So they were, Cheryl and Sandy, Salt
Hmm.
and Pepper. They were the executive producers there. So along with Herbie, they're pretty well known, DJ producer. They produced this. So this was their opportunity to tell their story, which
Hmm.
sometimes means that it's going to get, quote unquote whitewashed. There might be some things that are missing because you can take out some of the negative things that happened, or
Hmm.
tell them the way you want to tell them. But on the other hand, in terms of African Americans being able to tell our own stories, there's a lot of positives here. So someone could always go back and do an unauthorized pick on Salt and Pepper or an authorized book, but at least now we know their story, the way that they wanted to present themselves and what their intentions were at the time. So in that way, I think I mean, it was really interesting. It was a little long, and that had to do with the commercials, which of course are still essential to forms of broadcast cable. But
Hmm.
overall, I mean, I thought it was really good. I
I,
was surprised about how good it was. What did you
and
think?
and I lived in New York, so I could kind of tell when things were set and then where they shot. I think the scene where they
Yeah,
went
coming to New
back to
York. All
Dougie,
right.
yeah, when they
All
shot
right.
the Dougie, I guess they did their first performance at in like the backyard or the high school area where they would perform. And I think I
Dougie
kind of
Fresh's High
identified,
School.
yeah, I kind of identify where that was, and I'm like, okay, I think I know where they shot that. And then it was good for them to kind of keep the continuity with, okay, at that time the Twin Towers were up, so anytime I think iconic pictures that were taken, they kind of put that in there. And I've noticed if it's a good biop, especially if it's a musical one, you take one musical height that happened and you bookend it. So at the very beginning, it was them being presented at the 2005 VH1 Awards or something. It was like a Lifetime
Yes.
Achievement situation.
Right.
And so that was bookend. So that started it and then it ended it. And
Yes.
along with also producing, I believe Queen Latifah was one of the executive producers on there too, because they
Yes.
actually
She
used
was.
her real voice. We
Hmm.
kind of saw a side view of her, but that might have not been her, but they used her voice to introduce them. And so a lot of the people that were kind of entrenched into the
And she
culture
was
at
the
that
executive
time.
producer of
Yeah.
this particular
Hmm.
biopic. So she had an
Right.
interest in it as
Exactly.
well. Hmm.
Yeah. So I just when I think of Salt and Pepper and try to I kind of go back to when they first hit big. I was thinking, oh wow, they're women, because at that time rap artists, we had started as early, I want to say as the late 70s, early 80s, all was known were men. You had Curtis Blow, you had Sugar Hill Gang, You had Furious Five and Grandmaster Flash. So these were the people that were starting to shape rap. And right at the beginning, I think Crush Groove was one of the first few feature films that had come out. You had Breakin', you had Beat Street, and Crush Groove had come out. And you remember Crush Groove?
Oh, I remember a mile. I was
Yeah,
watching Beat Street this past week. You know, even
yeah,
before I thought about Salt and Pepper, it was just I clicked onto something and clicked on something else, and all of a sudden I was watching Beat Street,
yeah,
which
yeah.
is
So
funny in ways it should and shouldn't be. So
I
I mean,
understand
and that's
that.
part of the
Yeah.
culture, and that's part of the
Hmm.
the really disconnect with hip hop. Hip hop is this really unique thing. So
Hmm.
with Beat Street, that was produced by Harry Belafonte, Mr. Dale,
Aha.
Dale.
Yeah,
So you
Dale.
have this
Calypso
guy, you know, as
King.
a veteran from the
Mhm.
'50s, trying to help to give a voice to this music and culture developing in the late '70s, early '80s. I mean, so some ridiculous things occur in the movie in the way that it's told, and that's no offense to him. I give him much love and respect for being forward enough to say, like, here's a new movement. This is a real
Right.
thing. I don't think it's a
Mhm.
bad. Let's give it a voice. Let's give it like the treatment. And Stan Lathan, that was one of the first you know, significant movies in terms of hip hop that Stan Lathan, you know,
Mhm.
Sanaa's dad
Mhm.
directed.
Right,
So I mean,
exactly.
Ray Dong Chung's in Beat Street. I mean, that's one of the big commercial hip hop movies. I mean, there
So,
were some others previous to that that rappers will name, you know, name check, but this is the ones that hit us in the Midwest, in
right.
places like Chicago and St. Louis and Kansas City, you know, Omaha, Little Rock. You know, it's like we get to taste the hip hop through the eyes of Harry Belafonte. So it's a
And
little bit different, you know.
and then also, unfortunately, recently from Breakin' and Breakin' 2, we lost Shabba-Doo, Adolfo Quinas, and I think he had unfortunately contracted COVID at the end of the year, and I think it ended up passing. So he
Yeah,
was,
I don't know how if that was confirmed,
I
but
don't
we
think it
do
was
know that
confirmed. Hmm.
symptoms, yeah, signs point to that's
Right.
probably what happened to him.
And he was trying to really bring like breaking to the Olympics or what is that called?
It
The
is. It's going to
dancing.
be
It's going to
breakdancing.
be
Yeah.
in the 2000
Yep.
2024 Olympics, and he was a big advocate for that, but just
And
he didn't
he's
get respect.
homeboy, you know, at least from the home of this show, he's
Mhm.
from Chicago. He
Yeah.
has the roots
Mhm.
outside in and around the city. People you know, in Chicago locally mourned his death,
Yeah.
his passing. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So
I
mhm.
I'm sorry, I had the biggest crush on him. He was in Shaka Khan's I Feel For You. And when he would do that rock and point at the camera, man, I was in love.
Yeah, I think every yeah, it was mostly women on my Facebook timeline when he died. It was that's how I knew. Just a rolling scroll of, oh, my boyfriend died. My one of my first boyfriends is gone. Oh, I used to watch all the videos. It's like, maybe
Yeah.
not for the choreography. So anyway, so yeah,
Yeah, but like I said, there was a lot of people that champion the hip hop culture, and definitely when I mentioned Crush Groove, that was I think kind of the entryway for a lot of folks. Definitely LL Cool J. We had barely heard of him. He had started to rise up. Um,
he
and another people
literally breaks down a door in the movie to come in to
right,
rap.
and
Yeah,
he was 17. He was really
yes.
young at the
Yo, I
time.
can't live
Yeah.
without my radio. Da-da-da. Yeah, and after all the 10 seconds, the fictional Russell Simmons, who is
Hmm.
problematic, and we'll get to that too, since we're
Exactly.
focusing on African American women, Russell Simmons, quite problematic,
Mm.
turns to Rick Rubin, who has not let that touch him amazingly. Both of them turn to each other and it's like, we have to sign him. And they do. And, the rest is history. That is LL Cool J's first
Very
time
first
on
time.
screen.
Very first
You
time
know,
on screen.
the guy
And
that some of you may know as NCIS dude on CBS now.
yes, the people,
Yeah,
the
he
one thing
was a rapper.
And
Yeah.
but one thing I will say is the people that learned how to stay relevant, you transitioned into other careers, and I've talked about this with a lot of my friends. Music can sustain you for a little bit, but how often? Like in the Salt and Pepper film, they were showing how they were choreographing their biggest hit, "Push It." That's a
Hmm.
lot of dance movements that they were doing at that time, and I
Yeah.
believe they were in their early 20s or late teens, early 20s when that song hit in '87. So can you imagine? I mean, Cheryl and and the other girl, Pepper,
Yeah.
trying to
Sandy.
do those
Sandy.
same moves right now at 54.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
I don't think,
But
yeah. So you got to learn how to transition. So LL Cool J into acting, Queen Latifah the same thing. MC Light did a couple of acting jobs. I think kind of down the road when things kind of quieted with her rap situation. So it just just trying to put hip hop and rap on the map. And one other point I wanted to make, Salt and Pepper was nominated for a Grammy. Now the Grammys is supposed to be like the best music possible, that you when you get this award, you have arrived. That's kind of how that is a stamp of approval. So I think they fought to get the hip hop, or best hip hop duo or single or whatever. They tried to get those categories recognized by the Academy. And then what they ended up doing, they said, you know what, we're not going to air your segment. And I believe that year, along with the Fresh Prince and DJ Jazzy Jeff, they all boycotted because they wanted to be shown during the broadcast. And I felt
yeah,
like that was them early on standing up for the culture.
representation matters.
Yes, it
Absolutely.
does.
Yeah.
Hmm.
No, now you mentioned Push It. For a lot of people, that's their first Salt and Pepper song. They heard
That
Push It
wasn't.
maybe for the first time.
Technically, it
But
wasn't.
that's what what for me either, right? What
It
what
wasn't
was
for
the
me
first
either.
first time you heard Salt and Pepper?
Tramp, what you call me? Tramp, what you call me?
Ba-ba-ba, ba-da-ba-ba,
And you do
Tramp.
that little wop. You get that
Mm-hmm.
wop on. What?
That was a beat. That was a beat.
Yo,
And and and
yes.
it, and you could do that. Yeah, you could do all the dances to it. And then slowly came this video came out, which was again hilarious. You got Salt and Pepper in the video. I remember it today. They walked in the video, and pretty much all the old men in the club started hitting on them, and they had to kind of push them away. They brought in Kid and Play and parts. They represented. I mean, okay, let's Kid and Play in the movie Salt and Pepper.
Yes.
They tells
Hmm.
a real story.
Hmm.
And just to imagine working at Sears call center. The
I
call center
know.
includes Salt, Pepper, Kid, Play, and Martin Lawrence.
Who I did not know. I did not know
That's a
that part.
show.
I did.
Sears has a show, right?
I
Sears
know.
might still be around today if they had just stopped trying to sell, dishwashers and microwave ovens and just said, we're going to put these 5 people on TV, okay? And sponsor it. The Sears Hip Hop Hour. It'd have been excellent.
And I noticed that Kid and Play and Martin Lawrence, if you remember the hip hop classic House Party, and the second
Yes.
house party. So it's like Martin started to go out and I guess do his comedy thing. And in the movie, they have an actor that portrays Martin, and he says, whoever hits it first, we're going to help each other. Like I think they had,
Yes.
and I love that bond of helping one another and just kind of that
Hmm.
that whole thing. I think when Will Smith got his show, Fresh Prince, one of the first acting gigs he gave to Queen Latifah. She appeared
Yes.
on that show twice. and
Right.
got noticed. And so I guess when they were shaping Living Single, they brought her on and was like, oh, we don't have to pay anybody else to sing the song or the theme song or whatever. That was all
Now,
her. But
some of this is
everybody worked together.
management. Now, some
Yeah,
of this management that
of
they
course,
shared.
management.
They
Hmm.
shared management.
Oh, that's yeah,
Benny Medina, who
exactly.
was the guy
Hmm.
behind Fresh Prince. We
Hmm.
always talk about Quincy Jones, but Benny Medina is the guy that
Hmm.
put it on through Quincy.
Right.
Um, so there's that. But however, I mean, let's get real here, okay? House
Uh-oh.
Party 1, House Party 2, House Party 3. Kid play Martin until Martin got too big for those movies, for that role.
Exactly.
Um, it goes later on, the whole idea goes into like what the Omarion, ex mature and all that. Still very male centered.
Very
Okay.
male. Hmm.
Okay. So as much as they wanted to put everybody on, Salt and Pepper does not appear in these, to my recollection, to these house party.
You're right. I know.
And why not? That's so another thing very early on in their career, which I think they kind of mention, and there's a kind of a kind of wink and a smile that Salt gives the real person, not the actress or as it's portrayed in the drama. She
Mhm.
mentions that early on in their career, they attended the Crush Groove party,
That's
and
why I mentioned Crush Groove.
Russell Simmons is asked, "What do you think about Salt and Pepper?" And at the time,
Yes.
he is, and still in some forms, is considered to be one of the godfathers of hip hop, one of the living legends of hip hop because of his association with Run DMC, Rush Town Management, Def Jam, all
Mhm.
of that, all those accomplishments that no one can take away from him. He did it. He did do it. He's asked about Salt and Pepper, and he's like, "Nah, it's not gonna work. They're not gonna make it." And you have to wonder, why is that? Why is the out of hand diss to Salt and Pepper in an industry where, if you're coming out of the rock and roll tradition, there've always been girl groups in rock and roll. There were
Always.
always girl groups in
Always.
R&B, in
Mhm.
soul, in
Mhm.
country, just about every genre.
Mhm.
So you
Yep.
don't think it's gonna work in hip hop? What you saying about hip hop? And in a way, you might be speaking from some kind of personal experience. What are you saying about this thing that you're creating? Is it something that's being created where there is no space for women?
Mm.
We certainly see this later on in his life, don't we? One of the movies that that even Oprah Winfrey thought was a little bit too hot to touch was On the Record, which is on HBO Max. You should watch it if you're interested in that sort of thing, which tells the story of Drew Dixon, who was one of the many women who
Oh, wow.
accused Russell Simmons of rape, of
Mhm.
sexual assault, and
Mhm.
does so, as the title of that documentary is called, On the Record.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
so that's Russ. That's Uncle Russ. Uncle Russ, maybe not to be trusted with any taller, light-skinned women, six
Wow.
feet tall. So,
Wow.
when Salt says in this documentary, and I think the after show with
After show with
Lonnie
Lonnie
Love,
Love.
she
Yeah.
says that Russell dissed us, said that we weren't gonna make it, and I'm standing there looking at him as he's saying it. To later on have Russell come through Def Jam and ask to try to sign Salt and Pepper. What was Salt's response?
We turned him down. Categorically turned him down. Like, nope.
And then she gave this smile. She
I
gave this
know.
smile like, I was so happy to be able to turn that brother down. Okay. I think there's something a little bit more to that, which is one of the reasons why this movie is on Lifetime, has an appeal probably beyond hip hop. I'm sure that
Mhm.
people watching this movie who, that was not their music at the time, and they can appreciate this as well, to see these two women struggle, push through, find success, And really, as they said, they had a friendship before they went into this. And it seems today they still maintain at least some form of respect for one another. And that's really significant because and you could talk to this more than I can. I just know from the periphery, from the outside as a man. But
Mhm.
it seems like women have at times difficulties. They can have difficulties at times keeping those friendships with other women,
Mhm.
especially as they move through some kind of career or professional thing where they're in it together. There can be a lot of, tendency to tear one another down and not give that support. And they supported one another, and that was, I thought, was one of the appeals to what I watched.
According to some of the reports that's out, DJ Spinderella is
Mm,
not very happy about how she was depicted in the biopic. But when me and you, when we were watching this biopic on Salt-N-Pepa, we saw how Herbie brought on the first Spinderella because Spinderella wasn't the first DJ they brought on. They brought on one other young lady. They even
yes,
shot the what was that? The album cover, right? The first album cover was with
yes,
the
yes.
original.
They had a Destiny's Child experience before Destiny's Child. Yes, they started taking pictures of albums and CD things, and then switching the lineup before anybody could see them live. To add to the mystery or the confusion.
Yeah. So the thing of it is that what was depicted in the film was that Cheryl Salt saw Herbie with the original Spinderella, and it looked like something more was going on, and she kind of had this weird look on her face, like, oh my gosh, what's going on? And that was Salt was portrayed by Gigi Townsend. She did a great job, and so I'm sitting here going, and then they brought on another person, like because that person, I guess, was late. She wasn't coming to rehearsals and stuff like
She
that.
was
So
on CP time.
she was on CP time, and you can't run a business or entertainment group like that. And so just kind of that whole, and then you could see that there was a jealousy between Herbie kind of envying the friendship between Salt and Pepper and Sandra, kind of envying
Yes,
that relationship, which was weird.
that's
But
good.
I
There
think
was. Yeah.
even when them bringing on the other Spinderella, I think that there was some lingering feelings of from Herbie, because Herbie, unfortunately, in this, even though he's an executive producer, they did kind of show that transition of him not be, because him and Salt were involved when everything got started. They were, I
Hmm.
guess, in love or whatever you want to call it. But then you could see things starting to change, and then with him saying, "You guys need a third person, you need a third group," so it was his idea. So I don't know if they ever fully embrace Spinderella because it came from Herbie. Like I feel like there's,
Hmm.
and then you see how the movie goes on. She's, fighting for Sandra to get her cut. He was like, well,
Hmm.
and then they have Salt has a conversation with another producer and says, the industry standard is 6 points. And I was like, oh wow. And you should negotiate that. You should fight that. And then you saw later on, and one of my favorite songs from Spinderella, and I guess we'll get to that, is, I mean, not Spinderella, from Salt-N-Pepa, is Express Yourself. Because she started to write
Hmm.
they started to write and do their own lyrics, kind of separating themselves from
Right.
that
Yeah.
that male influence of Herbie. Not that anything was wrong with it, but it was just, you feel that suppression. And they're like, why is he getting so much? And he's just a producer. He's just Puffy Combs at this point.
Well, yeah, it's Svengali. He certainly had the Svengali role. He had the role that Phil Spector had with the Ronettes. He had the role, as you mentioned, P. Diddy, at
Yeah,
least early on in Mary J. Blige's career.
exactly.
Puffy was the man that was really pushing them.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, you do see that, and I'm glad you brought that up. Their friendship and their ability to kind of stand for with one another. And Spinderella, as we knew her, she just it's not. She wasn't in their immediate plan. She was an afterthought.
Right.
And
Mm.
I mean, hip hop is a weird thing. A lot of times the DJ is very instrumental in the group. This was one of those rare times when the DJ is an afterthought. The DJ is not instrumental in the sound of the group. I mean, there are a lot of hip hop groups where they may have a name and we know the name of the DJ. If you go back, Beastie Boys, DJ Hurricane, you go
Right.
PE, you got Terminator X.
Mm-hmm.
We know Spinderella's name, but what did she contribute to the sound of the group?
Mm-hmm.
Not much. She made a duo look like a trio, but
It
Salt and
was
Pepper,
good.
Salt and Pepper, they're a duo.
Right,
They are a
exactly. And,
duo,
and it was
and they're
good
right.
optics. It was good optics when they got more popular and they were, like the What a Man video. You got the four women of En Vogue, you got three
Yeah,
women of Salt and Pepper. Like that was good
yeah,
optics.
but
But other than that,
and she
yeah,
was younger too. And this is another thing I think was a sticking point,
it was.
possibly with the group, is
Mm-hmm.
that you bring in this younger woman
Mm-hmm.
to them. They're working so hard to maintain what they earn, what they put their hard work into. And now you bring in somebody new. It's just like on TV when they bring in, oh, we got a new baby, or look, we got a new dog, or whatever it is to spice it up, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And to their credit, she comes in, brings some wrinkle, some positive thing to it without it being a jumping the shark moment for the group. They do maintain. They actually get better, and I think that's just because of their hard work. They get better. So
Right.
we're talking about songs with
Yeah.
Salt and Pepper. They're built on the music. This is a time in hip hop where it wasn't really album oriented, believe it or not. Ladies and gentlemen, this was a singles. Like hip hop started as singles, went to album CDs, and has now
Mhm.
returned back to singles, even if it's
Right.
like 19 or 20 of them, at the 36 of them, or however many Drake wants to put out at one time. Um, so Salt and Pepper is built on stones. What would you say are your top five? What's your top five Salt and Pepper songs?
Okay. I
Raps.
before okay before I jump to that, I'm gonna close out with Spinderella what she said. And she kind of they quoted her on this. Too often, Black women who have made meaningful contributions in their industry are left out of historical narratives. Back when Salt and Pepper was building our legacy, which is rooted in empowering women, I could not have dreamed that the same group would one day disempower me. And so she told that to the Breakfast Club, and she was just kind of letting them know that she felt because she was not contacted about this movie, she did not want it. She did not support it. So it was it. Unfortunately, I feel like there's still some bad blood. I feel like Salt and Pepper, Cheryl and Sandra have made up, but Spinderella is spinning somewhere out in the orbit somewhere. So, but anyway.
Look, look. At best, God bless her. At best, Cinderella is Michelle. She's Michelle Williams at best.
Oh my
Okay.
gosh.
At,
Okay.
at worst, she is. I don't know. One of them other when it was four of them, when it was four Destiny's children on the couch. I don't know what Toya. I don't know what she is. Like now, she was very fortunate to be in that group.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, let's see what she does on her own. I think
Mm-hmm.
we'll be waiting. Don't hold your breath. So,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
I appreciate
It
what you had. I mean, appreciate what you had. They let her
mhm.
go in 2019. They did this movie,
They
probably in
let her go.
production for 2020,
They actually let her
2021,
they actually let her go in 2009. That's
2009. Okay. So
yeah.
that's even after Salt
Mm-hmm.
and Pepper as a group
Mm-hmm.
were on television from what are the years here? Let's get the accurate year. So from '07 to '08, they're on TV on as a reality show, the Salt and Pepper Show,
I
which
remember
followed
that.
them.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that was maybe when you saw her exit officially through
Mm-hmm.
the show. It was like we're
Right.
getting rid of her. I mean, I think in terms of Spinderella, I think she's pushing it.
Okay.
Up,
Oh, ouch, ouch. Oh,
no,
ouch,
no.
ouch, ouch. Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, now I'm going to go back. We're going to do my favorite top 5 songs from Salt-N-Pepa, and Push It is not one of them. I feel like that was the Whitney Houston, Michael Jackson song get played on the radio way too much. Lyrics were ooh baby, they just drove me bananas. But you play that song as a DJ,
Baby.
yeah, you play that song as a DJ, people are getting on the dance floor. So what is this? Ain't nothing but a she thing. So silly. Ain't
All
nothing but a
right.
she thing. I love
Ain't
that
nothing
one.
but a sheet thing.
Mhm.
Okay.
Get Up Everybody. That's one of my favorites. And of course, I
Okay.
just mentioned this one earlier, What a Man, because I loved In Vogue. I thought this was the marriage of hip hop and R&B in a beautiful way. Of course, Tramp.
Absolutely.
Tramp was the very first single that I was
Mm-hmm.
exposed to. And my favorite, very favorite was Expression.
Express yourself.
Expression. That's my favorite. That's my
Expression.
favorite
Oh
because I
yeah. Oh yeah.
love all the lyrics because I was in college when that came out and I was I was like, you know what? We're gonna express ourselves and I love that whole empowering thing. They had a woman that was homeless in the video and she was trying to make herself look good the message of the whole song and video was just wonderful. So and then like I said, I love that. Now, are we gonna do what you give me your top 5 from
Okay.
Salt-N-Pepa?
So my top five kind of stop before yours. They end. I mean, probably the two songs are the most current songs I guess on there. I start with 5 with Shoop. I love it. Shoop. Shoop has some. Maybe that's not. As PG-13 at best, but I like it. I like them because they took power, and
Right.
I think through Shoot you can see a through line from Salt-N-Pepa to current hip hop and ladies, women, MCs in hip hop because they became aggressive. They said exactly what they wanted to be and do and seek out. It also was a flip because sometimes guys can't have an idea that women, girls are different. They're not looking at me the same way I'm looking at them. And just to hear that perspective of them kind of eyeballing these guys and just kind of up and down. I mean, that was like really interesting. That was an interesting perspective to bring. And they seemed like they were in charge in Shoot. Like there wasn't somebody else who was like telling them, you need to do this, you need to do that. I didn't see Herbie, I didn't see some other Spengali Bale like telling them. They was like, that's them. Like I like them. They look
They
cool.
shot they shot some of it looks like on the Coney Island beach and they're kind of just
Yeah.
kind of looking at here I go again. Girls, what's my weakness? Men. And I'm like,
Okay then.
yes, you love that.
Exactly.
Okay then. And just keep on talking
Yes.
about what we're doing. And you're like, okay.
Now we had some common sounds. Get up, everybody. I
Yeah.
love that song. That song had like a mix of house and go
Yes.
go and all that. This is stuff, and I think that that's another thing that they deserve credit for. At
Mhm.
a time when hip hop was very myopic in terms of what types of music it would use and what types of beats people would rap over. Salt-N-Pepa did not seem pigeonholed to anything. They do whatever they wanted to do. And they went out and did go-go. They did a great Assault with a Deadly Pepper. That's a great record still.
I
Like
remember
just
that
the
one.
go-go on that is amazing.
Yes.
Out of
Yes.
DC. What a Man with In Vogue. I
Yeah.
mean, they were stars, and Vogue was stars. And when you go into like the early 2000s, this whole, you know, uh, Murder Inc. kind of, rap and song collabs. This is one of the major, song rap collaborations. And when it hit different than
It did.
everything else. What a
Mhm.
Man was like, I mean, you could hear little girls singing that. You could hear like, grandma singing that. That song, like, it just hit levels that were nobody else could do, and they could do it. And if you think about it, if you give them credit, I mean, I don't think you get TLC unless you have Salt-N-Pepa. Salt-N-Pepa kind of opened the
Right. It
doors
opened the
to
door big
female
time.
hip hop, and not just rap. I mean,
Mhm.
like singing groups. I mean, that freedom that Left Eye had, you can see where it comes from Pepper. You can see that there are elements of that. That's Pepper's personality, and not to say it's not wasn't Left Eye's personality in TLC, but there was a place for it. Like somebody had opened a door and made some space for her. So I think
Yeah,
they deserve credit for that.
yeah, and that song was nominated for a Grammy for Best R&B Vocal Performance by a Duo or Group, and
Hmm.
also the American Music Award for Favorite Soul R&B Single, and it's ranked number 23 on VH1's countdown of the 100 greatest songs of the 1990s.
It certainly is. I mean, and then first time we heard him, we said earlier is Tramp. Tramp is definitely on
Yeah.
my list,
Oh
and
man.
my list different than yours includes Push It, because that did it. That was their Walk This Way song. That was their moment. I
Mhm.
mean, you can still hear that at weddings.
Pretty much. Pretty
I mean,
much.
that song is ubiquitous. You may not like that song. You may think it's derivative. It certainly is not a lyrical, high point in music. How ooh baby baby, but it is like unique. It is
Mhm.
unique. When I hear that song, I can see them in those like 8-ball jackets, Salt-N-Pepa,
Spandex.
the
Mhm.
yellow, the gold, the red, the black spandex, those I'm gonna say it, them red boots they had on, the asymmetrical haircuts, the chunk jewelry, earrings,
Yeah,
all that
that
comes to
was
mind when I see Push It, when I hear that.
yeah, and that was one thing that came out in the movie. Unfortunately, there was I guess it was Sandy's sister that tried to do her hair, and some of the hair came out, and Salt was like, I cut my hair the same way you did, and I was like I thought they was going for that look. It was a hair accident that turned into something great.
Okay, all right. So for black women, as
Hmm.
a very observant person in this area,
Hmm.
that was the Jennifer Aniston for white girls had the hair, right? And everybody
Hmm.
had the her name, Rachel, right? All right.
Right,
So
right.
so before Holly Berry had the Holly Berry with the short hair,
Hmm.
Salt-N-Pepa.
That's right.
Pepper's hair. Salt-N-Pepa's hair was recreated many a time. At least I saw on the streets. Okay, on the South Side, I saw that hair recreated
Yes,
many different times. Maybe
yes.
before that, maybe it was Pat Benatar. For rock and
Mhm.
roll crowd. It's like, oh, Pat Benatar. There's that
Mhm.
famous joke in Fast Times at Ridgemont High that every girl there looks like Pat Benatar because they all got her hair that summer. Salt-N-Pepa's hair was just like that. That
Was very
asymmetrical
popular.
haircut is
Mhm.
them. Okay, that was
Yeah.
their style. That was what
Mhm.
they brought. And the Lifetime movie really doesn't. It mentions it kind of as an afterthought, but it really doesn't touch on the influence that group had.
Yeah.
I
And
mean, they
now
wore kufis before
oh,
we even knew
yeah.
what
We didn't know
Queen
what that
Latifah
was.
was.
Mhm.
They brought that kind of New York, Queens, like Harlem, outdoor market style
Mhm.
to music where nobody else was checking in that way. In the late 80s,
I
we
know.
were still looking at brown paper bag. I mean, Ebony still had fashion fair. Okay. You know what I'm talking about,
I know,
Val.
yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, this was the
Very much.
whole like, Freddie Jackson, "Love Me Down," and Luther Vandross. So they singing seemingly the same looking, cocoa colored girl with, you know, these attributes that are not particularly African American. They seem really palatable to a white audience.
Right,
And you looking at these
exactly.
videos like, what is this? Who are these women? And you see Salt-N-Pepa, and they look like the woman down the street at Jewel
I
or
know.
or Albertsons or wherever. It's like I seen her.
I
Now
seen
she's
her.
rapping.
Right. She's there at the Pathmark or the Food Town. That's in New York.
Exactly. The Food Lion. Like that's that girl. So when they jump out of their car the first time they hear that song in the movie and dance in the car, it's like, yup. Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Right,
I,
exactly.
I I
Now,
know there was no writing involved in this. It's like, what happened to y'all? Well, we jumped out of the car. We got on it. We started it. Like, yup.
we putting that in the movie.
We
We
putting
putting that
that
in the
in the
movie.
movie.
We putting all
Yup.
that in the movie. Now, the top female rappers. Let me hear your list of the top 5 female
You ain't
rappers.
gonna like this. You're not
Well,
gonna
you
like
go around
this.
ahead and let me hear
All right,
yours.
all
You
right,
go
all right.
first.
So I would give them their two, because I
Mhm,
think they open the doors in
mhm,
ways that, I mean, maybe they did the showstopper in the same vein as a real Roxanne or Roxanne Shante or
mhm,
whomever, but Salt-N-Pepa, they earned it. They did it. They made a
mhm.
lane. So I'll give them theirs. I tied them for fifth, the
Oh,
top
okay.
five,
All
with
right.
Rhapsody. Rhapsody is a new artist.
I
She
know
is
I've heard of her.
amazing.
Hmm.
She is lyrical in a
Okay.
way that if she was male, she would be like a Nas. I mean, she has
Oh,
that
yeah.
that kind of power to her.
Hmm.
My number four is MC Light. And my girl
Okay.
Light don't get enough credit. Now I don't know if
She
she needs
doesn't.
a movie made about her. I don't know if it would be that interesting. But MC Light had longevity.
Yes, she
She
did.
she pushed and she did things that nobody else did. I mean, she went from the 80s to the 90s to the 2000s.
Hmm.
Even with Puffy, Cold Rock a Party, back from Paper Thin. I mean, MC Light, it was one of the first people to hit number ones on the rap charts. A female hitting
Exactly.
it number one.
Hmm.
Then I don't like her, but I give her respect. And
Who's
I'll
this?
give her respect, and that's Nicki Minaj. I'll give Nicki Minaj her respect. She earned
Yeah.
it. That woman
Okay.
worked. She
Okay.
worked, and
Okay.
she ain't my favorite, but I give it to that queen. That she did it for
Okay.
real. I mean, for at least 10 years, when I
Hmm.
wasn't listening to music, if you
Hmm.
wanted a female MC on your song, you called up Nicki. Nicki
Hmm.
was hard working. Nicki pushed it. She made waves. I mean, from Anaconda to Bees in the Trap, Bees in the Trap. I mean, that's Nicki. So I give it
Okay.
up to Nicki.
All right.
Sadly, she doesn't know it, but she was eclipsed by Cardi B. Cardi
Yeah.
B is a phenomenon that I know you don't care for. However, Cardi B did stuff to music that was just uh amazing. I wasn't listening to hip hop at the time when Cardi B came out with that song, but when I first heard that song, I knew, like, oh my God, this is the next big star. This is
Hmm.
huge. This song is going to be huge, and it
Hmm.
and it was, and it was because she wasn't really rapping. She was just talking, and it's like, this is how this girl. Oh man, she's a vocalist. Like, and to have that background where she can flip from English to Spanish
Oh,
and
yeah.
Spanglish, and to
Yeah.
go back
That's
and
good.
rap in either
That's
one
great.
of those languages. I mean, and then she creates her own kind of Neo Rican kind of thing when she does the flows and the. I mean, Nicki had elements of that coming from Trinidad with Nicki Minaj's kind of background, her heritage, but
Hmm.
Cardi just like flipped it into like a whole. It's hard to say. I mean, I think there are elements of her that remind me of Jessica Simpson in a positive way,
Okay.
with Cardi B, and then one is the woman that doesn't get talked enough about, and you can spend a whole show on her one day.
Who's that?
That's Missy Elliott. Missy Elliott is my number one female MC, and
Ah,
because everybody sleeps on her, but what
ah.
Missy did, Missy had the whole control over it. It's like if you had Dr. Dre's production and then you match that with like Snoop's lyrics, but it's all coming from the same person. I
Okay.
mean, Miss Hitty got to rap about nothing. She started about the rain. I can't stand the rain. Uh, 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 uh.
Oh, Oh gosh. Okay.
I mean,
Well,
Missy is like the baddest. And if I ever wanted to do a song and had a female MC, like we need a female MC to like kind of put a verse on this. It's like, let's call BA. Let's go get Missy.
yeah. Well, I will say this. I like your picks. I really like your picks. I thought about Missy too, and I like her more on the producer side of things. I would rate her as a top producer versus a rapper. I'm so sorry, because sometimes lyrical content to me was just like, okay, you just try and get people on a party. What are you saying? Yeah,
That's
yeah. I'm
but
like,
that's the origins of hip hop was to
I
get
see that.
people.
I know that, but
Oh,
yeah.
oh,
Well,
oh.
but I liked how she worked with Timbaland and how they transformed Aaliyah's sound. Was when she was, trying to get away from R. Kelly. They gave Aaliyah a whole new sound, and I love what they did with her. Like I feel like they were, to me, Timbaland and Missy Elliott are like a marriage producing group. And I know it's mainly him or it's mainly her, but I feel like it's the both of
It's
them. Yeah.
both have their own unique talent.
Yeah, they do. But they
I
when they
mean,
would
Missy
work
is
together,
702,
yeah, 702.
Stilo.
Yeah, all those folks. Yeah. Yeah. So
Uh,
anyway,
okay, who you got? Who you got?
okay, so here are my top five.
Who
So
you got?
now it's weird. We have the same at the number five. I have Salt-N-Pepa because I feel like they're
Okay,
the foundation. They are the foundation. So that's kind of how that is. Now, she was gonna show up on my thing, Queen Latifah. Now, of course, I have to give her props.
see, I thought about it for a while, but she just didn't do enough. She didn't do enough. Her,
She did enough for me.
I mean, I went back on it and I'm like, okay, who would I take off to put Queen Latifah on? Salt-N-Pepa? No. MC Light? No.
No.
Nicki? Oh no. Cardi? No. And not Missy. So Queen Latifah had that like 2 year stretch. And it was great, but then she became an actress and a singer and this and that, just like you said. She made that transition. And
I'm sorry.
sorry.
I'm
Enjoy
biased.
living single.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
she didn't rap anymore.
My thing is that she did what was the name of that song? Unity. The music she did in dedication to her brother is what was moving for me, and I like that. So, just another day.
Then she made Chicago.
What happened?
Then she made Chicago with Renee Zellweger and Catherine Zeta-Jones and
she transitioned. She transitioned very well. So I'm she's on my list, and there you go with that. Okay, MC Light. She's number 3. She's definitely and I've met her in person, so she's really
it's
a
the
nice
capital
person.
Lyte.
Yeah, I really loved her.
Yeah,
Now this is who I have. This is who I have tied for number 2 because I like that they're.
But you can't be what you're not. Instead of start living with what you got. Now, you know what? MC Light earned men's credit. She was one of the first female MCs where people it was like, yeah, she a girl, but she nice, man. But she got lyrics, man.
Yeah.
It's like and she wasn't unattractive, but then you could like see her as an artist and not see her solely as some kind of sex symbol. It's like, oh, okay, she can fly.
When she first came out with Paper Thin, that was a hot. Wasn't that a hot beat? Wasn't that a hot beat? Yo,
yes.
Word.
Because she was coming out of audio too.
Yes.
I mean, the music was out of audio too with Milk. Yeah.
Whatever that was. I love that. Oh my gosh. So number 2, I have tied. I have honorable mention Lizzo, but I'm tying. I like that she's new. She's newer, but I like her lyrical content because some of it's inspirational, which I like.
Okay.
So I mean, she's there. And then she doesn't rap anymore. She's more known for singing, but I love when Lauryn Hill was with um with the
Yeah.
Fugees. I loved her lyrical
Yeah.
content. You go ahead now. What you got to say about Lauryn?
Yeah, yes. I mean, and I've been on both sides of the Lauryn Hill. I've
Mhm.
gotten excoriated on Facebook defending Lauryn Hill, and for people who are younger and just don't get it. I understand that, but at the same time, she, like to me, like Latifah
Mhm.
and like Eve, she starts out in hip hop and kind of goes into some other place, which is fine, which is
That's right.
okay, but it doesn't. Even at her height, I mean, Lauren was singing. Even at her height, I mean, the one of the biggest songs she has with the Fuji, she sang.
Oh, you talking
So
about Ready or Not?
no, no, I'm talking about the cover.
Killing Me Softly? Oh yeah, that
Yes.
one. Oh
So
what?
even at her height, I
Yeah.
mean, with the Fuji, she was singing.
Wow.
So she had amazing lyrics. She could rap. There's no doubt.
Mhm. Yeah.
I mean,
Well, I like
okay.
her. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
I
she's on
like
my
her
list.
too. She's not
And
top
and
five.
and so number
She ain't top
1,
five. Mm-hmm.
she's not with us anymore. And to me, she's the L and TLC, Lisa Left Eye Lopez.
Yeah,
I
I could see that.
I
Okay.
loved her. I was so heartbroken when she passed. I feel like I did not like when radio airplay would take her verse out when they would do she did a great song with Donnell Jones, who's from Chicago. This song, what was that?
Ooh.
You
Say
know
what?
what's
Say
up?
what? Say what?
Say what? Yeah.
I mean, she
And
produced
so
it. Did she produce that song? I mean,
I believe
that was
so.
her artist, I thought.
I thought so too. But my thing, there would be a lot of radio play that would cut out her verse. And
Hmm.
then when they did No Scrubs, sometimes they would cut her verse out. And I'm like, I want to hear from Lisa. Why are you cutting her out? I
Why would they
love her
cut it
voice.
out, Val? Give us the radio. You know the radio background. Why they cut her out?
I don't know, FCC regulation, something crazy. Women, I
No,
don't
why
know.
did they cut out GCI in Chicago, which is the BLX of our city? Why did they cut her out? Why did they cut out that verse? You don't remember?
Oh, it was because
We
of,
don't play rap.
oh my gosh. And what is
You remember?
GCI doing right now? Do you know what GCI is? GCI is doing
Oh,
nothing but
sure.
rap right now.
I
And I find
know.
that I hate that. I hated that though. What they would, it was about the format. Oh, we'll play the other version of it, and it's like, don't cut her out. Don't do that. And I
They
just,
would, they would cut out. They would cut her out and then talk about her because she was clearly the more interesting of the three. So they would just talk about her, and then play the songs without her.
yeah, I didn't like that. I
All
didn't
right.
like that.
So your
And
number one is Left Eye. I can't argue with Left Eye. She didn't make my top five, but she's
mhm.
definitely in the top 10. I can't argue with Left Eye.
And
Left Eye.
and if I was to have a top 10, I would have Rhapsody on there, and I would have um yeah, I would have Nicki Minaj on there too, because I love the song she did with Drake. That's my favorite from her, Lover for Life or whatever that song is. Yeah, I love that song. But
Young Money. Young Money.
okay,
Yeah.
hey. So, but those are my top 5 and honorable mentions, folks. So that's what it is. But yeah, Salt-N-Pepa. This movie came out. It's on Lifetime right now. It's a biop.
Let me push it. Push it a little bit forward with Salt-N-Pepa.
Okay, what you got?
I went over this list, and I got this list for you.
What
Okay.
list is this?
All right. Now you should. Valerie didn't know I was gonna do this, so we testing the host here of Interludes with Valarie Johnson. Thank you for watching this special episode, listening to it. We certainly appreciate it. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There are 7 artists, hip hop, rap, undeniably hip hop, rap artists who are in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame established was in 1986. That's when it made its first inductee. there are only seven hip hop artists in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. The last one was inducted this past year in 2020. Of those seven, uh, could you name some of those seven? Who do you think hip hop is in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
Well, I would assume now I liked Tupac, so I'm going to assume that he's there, maybe posthumously, definitely for him. And then obviously
Posthumously,
possibly
Tupac's.
possibly definitely Run DMC because of the at the very beginning that
Mhm.
song Walk This Way. You told me like Walk This Way was a big hit for Aerosmith, and that's what brought them up. So uniting that. I would go all the way back to maybe the Furious Five, maybe Grandmaster Flash. I think maybe they got inducted.
So
Um,
once again, listeners, she did not know I was going to do this. Okay,
yeah.
so we really tested that musical brain there.
Let's see. Um, I don't know.
Hey,
Was
three
it
for three,
was
three for
oh,
three so far.
oh, that's hilarious.
Thousand, ladies, three
Maybe
for three.
okay. That movie Straight from Compton. Who was that? NWA. Ice Cube and
Straight out of
those
Compton.
guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ice Cube and Easy-E
Four
posthumously
for
because he
four.
passed.
4 for 4.
Oh,
Your Yankees would love her.
You tripping?
Your
Not
Yankees
four
would
for
love her,
four.
yo. She could bat out the Jeter.
What about Dr. Dre?
Dr. Dre, one of the founding members of NWA, is in with NWA.
Okay, so what about? Oh, and I'm thinking. Oh, we're thinking Hall of Fame. Oh, wait a
Rock
minute.
and Roll Hall of Fame.
Rock
Rock
and
and
roll.
Roll
So
Hall
there
of
has
Fame.
to
There
be
are only
someone white.
7 hip hop artists in there. There is.
Oh, so it's
I'll
either.
give you a hint. It's a group.
Oh, so it's not Eminem because I was thinking Eminem.
Group.
Oh, Beastie Boys. We just talked about them. We just talked about Beastie Boys. Yeah. So okay, and then oh, Spike Lee's group that he would go to. Do the Right Thing. Public Enemy. Yeah,
Public Enemy.
I think.
Public
Yeah,
Enemy
I
is
think I remember when
number
they were
6.
inducted.
Public Enemy is number 6.
I am
One more. You've named 6 of the 7. This
that's
is
scary. That's scary.
okay. Now think. Okay, look. So what y'all may not know is before Valerie went into this wonderful world of podcasts and talk, she was a DJ for many years. Okay, still plays parties if you're lucky enough to have her grace your party. She does that as well. So music is in her vein. She knows this stuff, though she didn't know I was going to ask her this. But so far, she's hit 6 of the 7 rap groups, hip hop groups in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. There's only one, and that one came in this year. Because people were missing him. They were missing him.
You're giving me a hint. So I'm thinking who probably was inducted this year. I already mentioned Tupac. Who was he battling with all the time? Oh, the guy from New
Brooklyn's finest.
B.I.G.
B.I.G. 7 for 7. 7 for 7. Ding, 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 ding.
I didn't know.
So the Hip Hop Hall of Fame rap inductees into the Rock and Roll Hip Hop Fame in Cleveland, Ohio, which is a beautiful place. Mm-hmm. If you haven't been there, you should go there. Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five, they were inducted in 2007.
Okay.
So they were the first rap group to be inducted. It opened in 86. It only took, what's that? 21 years. 21 anyway, years. Right. So Grandmaster Flash, Run DMC, Beastie Boys, Public Enemy got in 2013.
Okay.
NWA 2016, which seems to go like right before their movie came out, as
Right
the
before that
movie you
movie came out,
mentioned.
because I remember that. Yeah.
Pretty interesting, yeah. Tupac, 2017, kind of right before his movie came out. And then this year, pretty randomly, Notorious B.I.G. was among the lineup of new inductees to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And I say that very interesting. Biggie gets a lot of credit. People put him on their top 5 and such. The Negro made 2 commercial albums, okay, on his own. That's saying a lot. I mean, he really is like the Gale Sayers of hip hop. I mean, great burst career, did not last very long. Meteoric, definitely meteoric.
Yeah,
Now,
but
notice anything in our conversation talking about one of the pioneers and their movie just on Lifetime recently?
mhm.
Notice anything about this list? Grandmaster Flash, Furious 5, Run DMC, Beastie Boys, Public Enemy, NWA, Tupac, Notorious B.I.G. Notice anything about those 7 artists?
I don't see estrogen anywhere.
Oh no, that's an XY list for sure. There's no double X, no
There's,
double X.
there's no
Okay.
women on that list at
There's no
all.
women on that list. There's no women on that list. Now, if you want to look at the rock of the whole, the rock of Hall of Fame, there are only really 34 female artists in there altogether, which is breathtaking. However, when you go to hip hop, there's a big goose egg there. At some point, if you're going to represent hip hop, you have to represent women.
Mhm.
You have to give props and credit where credit is due. I would contend that they might be the first people who should go in.
I would
I
do
think
the
they had the
same.
longevity,
They did.
they had the impact, they
Mhm.
were influential in fashion,
Very
in
very much so.
music.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
if the thing that we didn't mention, the whole foresight to flip the script on their own song, Let's Talk About Sex, to Let's Talk About AIDS, to
Right.
promote
AIDS
a
awareness.
health
Health.
during a worldwide pandemic. Hello. I mean, the fact that I haven't noticed anybody do that lately. Have you?
No.
Um,
No.
so they might be the group. If there is to be a group, they might be the group that goes in. I mean, I don't know if anybody mounting a candidacy for them, but after this movie kind of put their place and cemented where they were, I think that the case could be made and maybe should be made. I can't see who else will go in ahead of them in terms of
Of
female
female.
artists.
Yeah, I don't.
I
Yeah,
don't
because I
see
don't.
who has. You got to have the longevity. You got to have the hits. You got to have the influence. And
Mhm. Because then when I think about maybe the 1 or 2 rappers or whomever that was just before them, and I want to say that's what Roxanne Shante, possibly. That was
nah,
only, yeah, she only had 1 or 2 singles, or
yeah.
it was
So
long.
nah,
It was
mm-mm,
short. So it would be them. It
it's
would be
them.
them. Because I feel like, yeah, they definitely influenced the other female rappers, and I feel like they gave women in hip hop the strength to, say and speak their voice. And they could be feminine, or they could be, hard. They didn't. They could fit where they wanted to fit in, and their voice was heard. So I feel like they're the ones. They are the mothers of hip hop. If we were to give a technical term,
They're the
just
queens for sure.
they're the queens for sure. They're like the Aretha Franklin, and who was the other group that was popular? Just kind of that foundation. Wherever the foundation was for R&B, they're the foundation for women.
Chris Brown,
And
Etta James, that
Etta
kind of
James,
foundation.
exactly, right,
The
exactly,
originals. Yeah.
original. So, yep, that is it with that. So, guys, if you want to check out that film, I know it's going to be on Lifetime. Salt and Pepper. Their movie, it's currently showing on that network. Myself, I'm
Mm-hmm.
Valarie Johnson. What's your name?
My name is executive producer Michael Wamble for the podcast known as Interludes with Valarie Johnson.
And this is Interludes. It's a wrap.
Thank you for watching the Interludes Extra. Please like and subscribe to Interludes, our YouTube channel. I'm Val Johnson. Take care.